Conventional wisdom tells us that success comes with thinking big. But not everything is a matter of size or scale. Sometimes it's about what makes it worth your while. When some rather small thinking is necessary to widen your horizons. How is it possible? Just sit back, relax, and who knows? Maybe all it takes for your imagination to take flight is just a little spark. Hi there, welcome to Drive. My name is James Deacon here at the Clark International Airfield for the 2017 International Philippine Hot Air Balloon Fiesta, an amazing event where hundreds of pilots from around the world come over here to launch their balloons. It attracts hundreds, not thousands of families who've come over here just to witness this unique launch. Speaking of launches, we're launching a brand new format of Drive that's going to launch new vehicles. It's sort of like a launch pad of sorts, and we're going to spark things off with the Chevrolet Spark. This thing has not even been seen on Philippine roads yet, and we've already got our hands on it, and we're going to give you an absolute full feature. Nobody knows we have this car, but we're going to tell you all you need to know about this car, all that and a whole lot more. It's coming up on this episode, so buckle up as we get ready to drive. All right, what do you need to know? The car's been around since about 1998. Not this model, but the humble roots of the Spark. Initially, it was called a Daewoo Matis, and it wasn't very good. That's probably why it didn't get a lot of love, a lot of press. Eventually, in 2002, when Chevrolet took over, or GM took over Daewoo, they started developing the Spark and started making it a little bit better. But it took 1 or 2 generations to become really worth your money. That's just being completely honest. I hope I'm not offending anyone out there, but we're all friends, and I've always promised to tell you straight. The last model came pretty close, I have to admit, but it was just a little bit shy of being able to really stand out and compete for your money. Remember this segment here? This is the most cutthroat precisely because of that. You see, because every single centavo counts in this segment, you can't afford to have any features that are not 100% needed, because this is a segment so cutthroat that sales can be won and lost over a set of floor mats or free tinting. That's how competitive it is. And finally, Chevrolet have a product that can really compete. So now we finally have the Spark that GM always wanted it to be. It's got the right sort of dimensions, it's got the right look. And it so far has the right performance. They've thrown in a 1.4 liter Ecotec engine into this. What's particularly impressive about this engine is it's an all aluminum engine. It's a lot lighter around its competition. This is probably the lightest engine that you can get, and it's quiet. When you start entering this segment where you're cost cutting, you really do feel and hear everything, like any sort of noise deadening is really thoroughly appreciated, because you got sort of thinner panels and stuff like that, less between you and the road. This engine here has been designed to be really, really quiet, and I'm really appreciating it now, because even at highway speeds, you don't sort of hear the racket, you don't sort of feel it straining. I think that they've done a really good job with this particular model, so full marks there. Now, another interesting thing about the Spark is they've thrown in a CVT. Now, listen to this. I'm gonna floor it right now. That is particularly special. You see, if I didn't tell you it was a CVT, you probably wouldn't know just by driving it, because they've managed to sort of program it in a way where the shifting feels like an automatic transmission. And this was a thing that was lacking in CVTs. This is why people couldn't sort of bring themselves to love CVT. So no matter how economical it was, people just couldn't relate to it. So now, when they've managed to do it really well, I want to do it one more time. I want you to listen out and see if the cameras can pick it up. Listen. It's not as bad as it was before. Listen. Feels natural now. One of the other really cool features of the new Spark is it uses the latest generation MyLink system. Now, this is very clever because it now incorporates Apple CarPlay and the Android equivalent. So effectively, there's a bit of a mirror to your phone happening here. Everything's voice activated. I can check out the latest destinations, all without having to touch the screen or look at my phone. It's all hands-free. Let's try it out here and see if it can pick up some tourist destinations for us. What tourist attractions are around this area?
One option is Clark Museum in Pampanga. Let me know if I should get directions for you.
That was pretty interesting. I can't say I'm really a history buff, or do I like museums much, but you know what? If you're here 20 minutes in that 4D theater, you'll get the whole synopsis of what Clark's about, where it is, the history, etc. It's a little bit of fun, you know. Right now, we're going to visit the president. Well, he's not actually there, but we're going to go to his house. It's called the White House, and for good reason too. And we're going to just check out what that's like. So let's just use our navigation system. Take me to the White House.
Getting directions to the White House.
There you go. It's not far from here. So we're off to Nayong Filipino, which is a cultural amusement park. Take me to Nayong Filipino.
Getting directions to Nayong Filipino.
So we're here at Nayong Filipino, which is like a cultural amusement park. So for me it works because just the fact that you see so many kids here on a Sunday, which means they weren't actually forced to be here, or most likely not, but they genuinely look like they're having fun while they're walking around learning about Philippine cultures and traditions. They got like dances going on. You have a mini Bar Swain church here. Right, so far I've seen quite a little bit, actually more to Clark than I really thought. I come here so often, but you might be as surprised as I have. So the new Spark looks pretty good so far, but has it got the moves to match? Better pull your favorite tunes out, because when we return, this Spark gets ready to dance. the whole of Clark has been quite an eye-opening experience for me. Lots of surprises here. To think I've been coming here for what, 2 decades now, and stuff I've never seen until today. Which goes to show, if you're willing to come here with an open mind and a traveler's heart, you too can be also equally rewarded. I mean, we saw the museum, the 4D theater, we went to the White House, there's the parade grounds, there's just so much that Clark has to offer. One thing though, do bring your own wheels just like we did, because public transportation is not that easy to get around here. So if you want to visit all the little spots, we got the Spark. It's gotten us everywhere we needed to go. It's nimble, it's fun. And that's what I like about the Spark. You see, it's grown up. It's finally cracked the code for subcompacts. I'll be perfectly honest, wasn't the biggest fan of the last Spark. It couldn't really hold its own against the heavyweights of the subcompact category. And now they've basically taken everything that you don't need out of the car, left only the good stuff in. It's basically a lot more confident now, and I think this car can really compete. But there's just one more area. You see, it can have all the bells and whistles, the Apple CarPlay, it can be maneuverable, but if it can't haul people, there's not enough power to do it, we're gonna have a problem. So we've designed a special course just to put that through the test. So head over with me, we're gonna go to a place called Sun Valley. It's got some pretty epic hills, and we'll see if the Spark can perform. Up until this point, the Spark has performed pretty flawlessly. It's completed all of its tasks, not just to expectation, but in some cases, a little bit over that as well. You see, it's got some pretty good maneuverability. The steering has been light enough, but responsive without the lag that we normally get with some of the EPS systems. But let's get down to it. If there's any area of complaint about this car, it's usually going to be about power. So what we're gonna do is we've taken it to this place here in Clark. It's called the Clark Sun Valley Golf and Resort. This place has more ups and downs than Lindsay Lohan's career. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the Spark here, and we're gonna see how it performs and comes out on the other side. Let's go. All right, we found a nice steep hill. It's not that long, but let's just see how it performs. I'm gonna drop it down into low. Not bad. Maybe it's not steep enough. Maybe we need to find something steeper. Is that the best you got, Sun Valley? Come on, I thought they had hills here. I wanna feel the lungs burst in this car, if there is a bursting point, and where that point is, to be exact. Oh, I found myself a nice piece over here. This is lung busting. I'm gonna start even on an incline. I don't know if the cameras are gonna catch the kind of incline, but you see I'm rolling back. That's how steep it is. I'm gonna go from a standing start because I wanna feel it on 3, 2, 1, and it takes a little bit. It takes a little bit to get going, but you know what? At least it's not screaming, it's not crying. It's got some juice now. It's getting up, it's picking up the revs. I've got power. Once it gets over somewhere around 3,000, I got no problem at all. That initial little bit there from 1,000 to 2,000, it starts to sort of just the beginning of hesitation, but no, I'm picking up speed here, and this thing's pretty steep. Yep, I can tell you that the Spark, it's passing with flying colors right now. All right, well, after spending about 500 kilometers with the Spark, not just behind the wheel, mind you, also as a passenger, front seat, back seat, and doing all of our tests, I can tell you this about the car. I like it because it may have taken 20 years to mature, but they finally cracked the code. The infotainment system, I think, is best in class. I love how it integrates into your smartphone. That's a really good thing, and I can see more and more manufacturers following suit. Also, the CVT, very big improvement over the previous models, and it's already, for me, best in class. An area that I was concerned about was the power. 1.4 liter, 99 horsepower, not a great deal, but I think it carries its weight just good enough. I mean, you're not going to be left wanting. That's the main concern there. You're not going to drag race anyone. You're not going to try and sort of outperform anyone, but you don't want to be caught climbing up a hill, sort of huffing and puffing like the car's got emphysema or asthma or something like that. The Spark handled it well. It's also got best in class for warranty. There's 5 years of protection there. That's a pretty good guarantee for anyone buying a new car. So overall, I think they've really hit the mark here. And this could be the spark that starts the fire for Chevrolet in the subcompact category. And that pretty much wraps up this episode of Drive. We hope you enjoyed it. The new format, when we launch cars, this is how we're kind of going to do it. We need your feedback though, because it only works with you as a co-driver of the show. So why don't you get a hold of us? Facebook, easy way, jamesdeacon.ph, my website. There's Twitter, jdeacon72, no excuses. So until then, on behalf of the entire Drive team here in Clark Sun Valley Golf Course, drive safely, everyone. So one of the features of getting a car like this is ease of parking. I see a slot right here. It's nice and tight. Let's see if we can do it in one clean move. Oh, look at that. Absolutely easy. That wasn't even a challenge at all. But what happens if it's a little bit tighter? All right, here we go. They're a little bit tighter now. Oh, I don't know if I can do this in one fluid move. Okay, yep. Oh, made you look. Ah, come on, man. Give me a challenge. This is nothing. All right, now what happens if you're parked in between two camote parkers? Now, I don't know if you know of the term, but I can't use the real word I want to use for people who eat up the lines. You know those guys? Well, let's see. Here we go. Try it out. One move. Oh! Yeah. Let me fold my mirrors in. Well, that was doable. Now they just want to up the difficulty level a bit for me. They want me to back in. All right, so let's do this. Come on. Spark was built for stuff like this. Let's check it out. Solely on my mirrors. No hitting any cones. Oh, it's tight. It's tight. It's tight. Oh, sorry. Couldn't do it in one hit. All I just don't want to do is I don't want to hit the cones, that's all. Can I do it? Can I do it? It's really tight. Fold the mirrors in again. Oh, I need my mirrors. Wait. Oh, no. Okay, now, it's one thing to get in. You got to also get out. Let me see if I can do it in one clean move and not touch the cones. So far, I have a pretty clean streak. Give me a real challenge, guys. Come on. All right, they're going to make me do this handling course, or more of a maneuverability course. It's a slalom, but a slalom unlike many others, you see. Instead of speed and handling and dynamics, we're looking at complete maneuverability. These cones here, they've been separated about the exact length of this car. So no room for error. It's just, you got to get around it. I'll be like a sewing machine, sewing my way through. I'm allowed to touch the cones as long as they don't fall. Let's go. It's not about speed, remember? You notice that there's only very minor corrections, and that's probably more driver error than anything, as much as I hate to admit it. So let's try it in the reverse. And the idea is to see just how tight the steering is and how it can get through these cones. Oh! This is closely, we get yes. Well, that was absolutely weird. Yeah, there really is no real world application for what we did, right? I mean, where are you gonna do something like that? But it does bring out a few characteristics of the car, and that's the whole point of this. You see, cars nowadays pretty much all come standard with electronic power steering. Now, the idea behind that is, number one, to save fuel because you're using a belt that's separate. It doesn't rely on the engine power to get it sort of assisted steering. But the lightness of it is a selling point, but the downside to it, the one that they won't tell you, is it doesn't react very well. So when you're changing directions really fast, there is a bit of a lag, and that is going to show us exactly how it's going to handle. And it did perform really well. So going through the car park, it's nice to know that in an emergency situation with the Spark, if you had to really sort of change direction and saw the wheel really fast, the lag is more than acceptable. And then you put that with all the other goodies, so far this thing is doing pretty well. Up next, we tackle the hills on the way to Clark's newest attraction. How does the Spark cope with those lung-busting hills? Find out when we return.